and welcome to all of you to the IBF Breathing Arts online channel. This is a channel, it's a place where anybody who's in the International Breathing Arts Foundation can offer a workshop. Particularly, we focus particularly on the arts, so we're really interested in people who work with the arts and are combining breathing with the arts. And you can write to me or write to the IBF and come along and host a session. And this afternoon we've got the wonderful Christine Bobba, and during this workshop, and her workshop is called Reignite Your Creative Flame, which, as I'm sure you know, and this is about reigniting your creative flame. During this workshop, you will all get an opportunity to reconnect with your sense of creativity and inspiration through a combination of different practices that will activate your channels of self-expression. Christine is going to use a variety of different methods and practices: vocal work, vocal practices, breath work, guided imagery, movement, and art. Christine is a somatic practitioner, and she's a member of the International Coaching Federation. She's a member of the International Coaching Federation, and the Institute for Professional Excellence and Coaching. So you're in the hands of a real expert here. She's a leadership coach, a training consultant with over 12 years of experience empowering individuals and organizations to create lasting transformation. She specializes in guiding entrepreneurs and innovative leaders through challenging transitions, helping them cultivate fulfillment, confidence, and alignment to both their personal and professional lives. At the core of what Christine's work is about, she has 3 pillars that she bases all her work on. And the first one is authenticity. The second one is creative process, and the third one is purpose. So, with a background in international business leadership, coaching, she's also an integral breathwork therapist. A trauma-informed expressive arts therapy is also one of her skills. And she helps individuals overcome core limiting beliefs, self-doubt, and creative blocks that hinder their expression, voice, and creative projects. So I'll hand over to Christine, and she will take us through the rest of the session. Thank you, Christine. Here you go.
Thank you so much, Jean. And thanks to IBF for allowing me to present here and just share some practices that I felt would be really relevant and helpful for this time and the time of the season. I feel like we're just kind of entering in springtime, depending on where you are in the world, of course. But along with that idea of springtime, I think has really sparked a lot of inspiration for me personally around our idea and definition of creativity and how we notice it not only around us and in our lives, but how it's manifesting within our physical body, right? So, of course, such a key part of exploring somatic expression, creative expression, is also seeing how it's showing up in our senses, and how we're relating to our expression and our creative process, right? And creative process isn't limited to, if you are writing a book or, creating a piece of art. I think also creativity is really part of our everyday life. And so a perspective I would like to invite all of you guys to explore during today's session is really the idea of creativity and how we define it, maybe how we can expand our idea of creativity, and also look at it from a living perspective, right? So when I think about creativity, I also think about it as inspiration, as possibility, as having the ability to have a participation in creating our reality, right? Whatever that may look like and whatever that means to you. So during our session, I really want to, yeah, invite a attitude of exploration, of fun, of imagination. This is a time for us all to share, um, these different practices together and in community, but also honor our own individual process, right? And the reason I say that is because there's absolutely no way anything should quote unquote look or feel during this session. It's completely individual and it will look different for all of us. There may be commonalities that we experience, but also giving yourself permission to really, yeah, accept and allow yourself to receive. I think just another attitude that I'd like to invite during this session is the idea of receptivity. This idea that creativity actually isn't something that we need to search for or look for outside of us, although certain things in our outside environment can inspire us, of course, but also harnessing the listening and the innate creativity that's already within us. And I believe that comes from cultivating receptivity within us, right? That spaciousness, that breath and physical expression allow us to deepen our access to, right? So that was something that I just wanted to kind of share before we jump into some journal prompts. So for any of you guys who joined after I shared this at the beginning of the session, I know Jean had shared in the email. If you guys have a journal handy, something to write with, um, glass of water, hopefully. I just grabbed mine too a few minutes ago. And some pens or crayons or something fun that's colorful that you'll be able to draw with because we'll go ahead and draw after our visualization. So I just wanted to give you guys a little reminder about that if you didn't already have that handy, just to go ahead and grab that. So what I'm going to do next is I'm going to share my screen. So I'll be looking to you guys. Maybe Jean, you can give me a heads up if you can actually see what I'm sharing. It looks like you can, but if some,
Yes, yes,
okay,
we can
perfect.
see your screen.
Great.
Great.
So as Jean mentioned, today's all about reigniting our creative flame, right? And whatever that may look like for you in this moment, in this season, or just in this time today on Sunday, wherever you're located. I know we have many people coming in from all over, which is very exciting. We're very happy to have you here.
Mm-hmm.
Perfect. So, with that said, I'd love us just to kind of have a moment to journal a few things. And one thing I did want to mention before is, as Jean mentioned, we're going to do some vocalizing. We're also going to do guided visualization, some movement as well. So, the invitation is, just if you're free to be on camera, if you ever want to mute or be off camera, there's no problem with that. I just really want everyone to feel safe and comfortable to really use this time all together to go into your deepest expression in this time. So, just a little side note on that. And then from the journaling perspective, I'd love you to take a few minutes and just look at these questions here. So, um, we started talking a little bit about creativity, right? How it shows up in our external environment, maybe how we sense it within ourselves. So, just taking a few minutes to think and also start to again enter in more of receptivity to this idea of creativity, right? So when you think about creativity, what does that mean to you? How do you sense it within your physical body or just your surroundings as well. So just kind of experimenting with some of those different ways you could sense it within yourself. And what, if any, beliefs you might have about creativity. So maybe it's not something that you've necessarily given any thought, but free writing is can be such an amazing way to understand some messages that our subconscious is holding about creativity, right? That's the amazing thing about breath work is we're able to access that subconscious part of our our mind, but also how it shows up in our physical body mapping as well. So I really invite you to just see what comes out when you write those questions and you allow yourself to respond.
Of course, my pen would run out. Writing that much, Christine.
Yeah, I always find that journaling can be very revealing, and also a great precursor to breath work as well. And if any of you guys feel open to it, it would be amazing to hear if you feel like answering any of these questions in the chat, or you're also welcome to come off mute and speak directly, whatever feels most comfortable to you. But really, so we can kind of start to see in this space that we're creating all together today for the next hour or so, some of these ideas, or like to think of them as thought bubbles that are already starting to percolate in this shared space we have together.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay, because I'm on the headphones and sometimes they're not great with the microphone. So basically, first when I started reading the questions, I'm like, okay, they're very broad, but I just started writing just like that. And then I realized for the first question, I said that, okay, creativity is the part that's like, I want to express the things that I cannot with the words when I'm socializing with people, when I'm speaking, even if I'm open up vulnerably. So that are the parts that are maybe I'm shy with or like silenced with the ideas that I had, like, I don't know, the limits that I had in my childhood, or maybe I shouldn't think about it, etc. So it's a way to express those when I what I cannot with the words. And it was very interesting with the second question, what beliefs might you have about creativity? I think the beliefs that I had was that they must be marginal or like very interesting to be expressed. As an artist, you have to be very interesting, but it's like very controversial because the first part is I feel that are the things that I feel maybe shy about to speak about, since I was a child. And then the other part, even if I'm not maybe accepting them fully, and I want them to be in a different shape, very interesting, etc. So it was very interesting just in 2 minutes to explore this. Thank you.
Wow. Yeah. Thank you for sharing that. It sounds like a lot of different things came up just immediately from journaling. And also, it's really interesting as well to see that perhaps creativity isn't necessarily words, but it's expression. So, what does that expression look like for you specifically, right? During kind of looking into some of those different ways you're even defining expression for you personally.
What I found really interesting, Christine, was immediately when you talked about how do you sense it physically. And I thought to myself that I'd never really really thought to sort of think about that actually, and then I had to really think about it. I was thinking, no, I don't sense it physically. It's like usually I'll see something or hear something, and then a thought appears almost fully formed in my mind, and then I thought, well, that's kind of visual and hearing, and it sounds really silly, but I found it so interesting to suddenly start bringing it back to the physical and thinking like even which senses were involved or which part of my body was involved. So I thought that was quite revelatory, like trying to think about it. And then I thought, just when my pen ran out, I was saying that usually I will try and use logic, like I'll get an interesting idea and then I'll go and rationalize it and write it, and then the pen ran out, which I thought was quite interesting because I was just about to write down how I will then go and write about it or think about it too much rather than following it through to the action of painting. So even though I have these collections of paint and stuff, it's like I'll try and rationalize and justify, oh, you know, you can go and do this now or whatever. So it was a very short little thing, but it did open up quite a lot that I thought, oh, that's really interesting. So next time, don't try and rationalize and write it. Maybe express it fluidly without before I take it there. So thanks, Christine, for a little thought bomb, as you say.
That is really insightful. And I think for me, what it sparked in my head as well is it's great also to challenge ourselves sometimes to see like exactly, I think what you're saying and what was previously mentioned about the idea of expression, when we want to express, what's the first thing that we typically go to, and starting to play a little bit. What if I tried to express it in a different way? Even if we were still using the same modality, is there a different way that we could try to imagine expressing, right? And then that's also the way that we start to build those muscles of experimentation, play. But I think what you mentioned, Jean, is a really great marker for also during today's session, really tapping into what are you noticing in your physical body as you're relating to whatever practice we're doing, right? So again, going back to what I mentioned at the beginning of the session, really tuning into that listening, which I think Jean, you really explained very well, because it's listening to the thoughts, noticing, how it feels in your body to actually write something down, or maybe when you see some realizations through your journal, how that's making you feel to confront it, right? Those are all different things that are showing up in our body as well as our mind and in our thoughts, right? So it's just expanding that perception past some of the cognitive, right? Because that can be the place where we feel most safe. And it's typically where educationally we tend to prioritize our quote unquote knowledge, right? But we have
Mm-hmm.
so much knowledge in our creativity and in our physical body too, right?
Mm-hmm. And Kaylee has just added to the chat because she says the easiest question for me was the second one around sensing it. And for her, she feels it in her heart. So it's exactly what we're talking about, like an excitement bubbling and feeling, and then like her brain is like firing. So she's coming from the body. Thank you, Kaylee, for that message. And then Nina has written, she notices it more from creative expression has become her spiritual practice. So that's really interesting. Nina has just added that actually for her it's a spiritual practice. It's a way to feel closer and more aligned to her sort of higher self. Thank you, Nina.
Yeah, and in integral breathwork therapy, we talk about breath as the metaphor for life, right? But I think also our creative process equally can be that metaphor, right? So I think Nina um, explained that really well in what she shared.
Mm.
So I'll just give a minute or so. If anyone else wants to share in the chat, then would love to hear from you. And if not, then we can move on to just a little bit of landing in the space. So we have a lot of breath workers here, and I know we have some folks that are new here, but I'd love for us to just kind of notice. We'll do a lot of check-ins after each practice we do, just to take a physical registration too in our body, how we're feeling, sensing any shifts that we're noticing.
Got one more comment. Kaylee says she's often a perfectionist. Kaylee, this is the one lady who feels it in her heart. She's often feels that. Sorry, I often feel that perfectionism tendencies block her creativity. So a bit like me, it starts going into some kind of into some kind of rationalization or measurement of, is it worth, or maybe or how to express rather than fully. There seems to be a difference between when you first feel it and coming in, and then the way you have learned to react to it, or yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's the interesting part too of observation in this process, because I think lots of parts show up when we think about expressing ourselves, because it's also really connected with our vulnerability as well, right? And being seen and feeling safe to be seen as well, right? So just noticing those different stories that are coming up, those maybe beliefs or yeah, just subconscious programming that we might not really be yet aware of, right? So these are opportunities to start noticing those and just embracing them, right? And knowing that they're also here with, um, they have their jobs, right, to keep us safe. So we can start working with them and negotiating, let's say.
Mm-hmm. And Nina, explaining a little bit more about her creativity linked with her spiritual practice. She says one of her mentors says to her, "Be the good medicine," and through creative expression, she feels like that she's more able to do that.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And she also brings breath work into that as another good medicine. It's a nice concept to take on board. Yes, be the creative.
Is
Be,
yeah.
even in how you express yourself. You know, especially if you're going through something. If you wake up and wear your favorite outfit, maybe. Maybe. Yeah.
Like color that's jumping out to us, right?
Mm, mm. I think
Excellent. Well,
that's
thanks
it.
everyone for being
Okay.
so open to sharing and putting in the chat. And I really love hearing from you guys. Let's continue doing so throughout the session. But for now, I'd just like to take a few minutes to land in the space, even more so than we already have. Um, and I'd like us to do it through movement. So, excuse me. You can do that standing up. You can do it sitting. I'm going to stay sitting for now. But if you feel just asking yourself the question and checking in what feels most resonant for you, we're just going to take a few minutes to start to explore this idea of creativity within us, right? So at your own pace, just allowing yourself to drift your eyes closed for a moment. And just beginning to connect with your breath. So during today's session, we're going to work with conscious connected breathing. So for any of you guys who are new to that, what we're doing is we're creating a circuit of breath with no pauses on the inhale or the exhale, right? So when you're inhaling, you can just follow my voice lead. Just imagine a circuit of air flowing through the bottom of your feet, up through the back of your body, and really filling up the bottom of your belly, all the way up to your chest, up through your shoulders, your spine, up to the back of your head, and just on the exhale, gently allowing your breath just to release back towards the ground. So again, I like to imagine it as just a circuit of breath that's coming in looks circular or maybe like an oval, depending on how you're imagining it. And typically I like to work with mouth breathing, so open mouth breathing. But if you feel more comfortable breathing through your nose, then please just go with whatever feels most comfortable. But whichever one you decide to go with, just go ahead and stick with that one during this practice. And sometimes it helps to just imagine it like a wave moving through your body. So again, just starting through the bottom of your feet, traveling up through each part of your body in a gentle wave, expanding through your belly, chest, and exhaling out any tension or any thoughts maybe you have of what was happening before you arrived here in this session. Whether you're starting your day, wrapping it up, just allowing yourself to be led by the breath in this moment. When we're exhaling, just noticing we're not blowing our breath, but we're really, it's almost like we're fogging up a window where it's coming through the back of our throat and just gently releasing out, no forcing, no pushing. Just imagining yourself really receiving this fresh breath, fresh oxygen into your system, maybe even connecting with some gratitude for that, our physical body, and all the ways that it's showing up for us constantly in the unseen and seen, even biological processes, right? So our body is so intelligent, and when we just allow our breath to lead us, we can really allow it to bring us back into balance, bring us back to that core sense of creativity within us, right? That's already there. So it's not something we need to find, it's already there. So again, just really inhaling that sense of, yeah, creativity, of expansion, inspiration that our breath brings us with each inhale. And allowing those sensations just to travel through your entire being, every corner of your body. And if you notice if there's some areas where you notice some tension or some holding, just gently sending the breath there, like a loving hug, embracing those different parts of our body that may benefit from some extra oxygen, extra breath. And just allowing yourself again to exhale out. Just noticing if there's any movements that you'd like to make in your physical body. So you can notice if you're standing, if you'd like to explore gently putting weight into your feet. You can do this also if you're sitting, but really sensing into the weight of your feet. And again, bringing in a sense of play there, right? So if we bring some weight to our big toe or our little toe or the pad of our feet, our heel, all those different elements, moving up to our hip area. So again, depending on where you're at and what feels comfortable, just noticing, you can even notice the difference in just the most gentle and subtle movement. So in your hips, you could just try moving them front to back, very gently, maybe side to side, or even circling them. But our hips are such a powerful area, right, for knowledge, and also an area we can end up holding a lot. So just bringing a lot of breath there on your inhale, allowing it to circulate through your hip area and noticing how your hips might like to move. Maybe moving your hips might spark other areas you would like to adjust. So maybe you want to move your shoulders a little bit, your spine. Just giving some space for your physical body to express itself, right? Without needing to have any judgments or ways that it should be moving or not, right? And just listening. Maybe you want to roll your ankles or your wrists. I'll just take a minute or so just to continue exploring this. So also if you want to notice your head. And if there's any kind of gestures or movements that want to happen. So again, really giving yourself permission to listen here and explore. So if you've been making the same movement here, then the invitation would be to shift your attention to another part. It could even be fun to experiment with your fingers, your palms of your hands. So all the different ways that we can subtly explore movement in our physical body. Just finding what it will feel to be completed on this movement for this moment. We're going to move on to some vocalizing here in a moment. So just again, finding a way to kind of feel complete in this movement, exploration. And again, if you want to stay standing or if you want to sit down, again, that's a practice in listening. And so for the vocalizing part, if you're not already on mute, I would ask you to go on mute just because I know that sound can be different for all of us in our different computers. So I will leave my sound on just so that you can keep your eyes closed and just listen to the vocalizing and allow yourself to also explore the vocalizing and really hear yourself, right? Hear yourself and how it's feeling when we are vocalizing in our physical body, right? So again, just noticing and keeping connected to those sensations. And we're going to do 7 different sounds. And we're just going to go ahead and do each one of them. We'll just go ahead and do each one of them one time around, just so we have plenty of time for what we have coming next. If anyone's curious about it, I'm happy to send them as well after if you'd like to practice them a little bit. I know we have some experienced vocal people here as well. So would love to hear also any experiences you have here or how you like to use it as well. So the first one we're going to do is going to be okay, so actually just allowing yourself to experiment. We'll actually just, you can even take an exhale out before you do that. And just allow yourself to tone that. So And actually, let's repeat that 2 more times. So deep breath in and really filling up just like you were earlier and just allowing yourself to connect with that sound. One more time. Just gently registering any sensations there as we move on to the next, which will be ooh. Okay, so go ahead and try it yourself. We'll do that 2 more rounds. Ooh. Just noticing if there's anywhere you feel that in your body. And we'll do that 1 more round. Ooh. Okay. And next one we're going to go with is ah. Okay, so we'll do 3 rounds of that. Deep breath in. And 1 more round. And just allowing that to land in the body, just taking a deep inhale. Exhaling out back towards your feet as we go through our next tone, which will be I, like the sound I. So 2 more like that. I. One more. I. Again, taking a breath in between, noticing any shifts or areas you notice that sound resonating in your body. I noticed it a lot in my head there. Maybe you feel it somewhere different. And on the next inhale, we're going to explore A. Okay, so deep inhale through the nose. A. And 2 more like that. Deep breath in. Again, taking a breath in, registering any shifts in your body. And on the next inhale, again, breathing in through the soles of our feet, through bottom of our belly, up through our chest as usual. And the last one is going to be And we'll do 2 more rounds like that. Taking again a deep inhale. Exhaling out back towards our feet, just pushing our soles of the feet onto the ground, making any adjustments in our physical body and also noticing any adjustments or shifts that we're aware of. I just heard my back crack a little bit. I can feel a little bit of fluttering in my heart, a lot of resonance at the top of the roof of my mouth, upper part of my head on the last one there. So just taking a moment to register that and just take a minute or so to write in your journal anything you noticed, right? It can be in your physical body. It can be thoughts that came up. It could be something that surprised you, but just taking a moment, just a minute or so, and just writing anything down. Or if you're more of a visual person, you can make a little doodle or a drawing. Or maybe a word of how you're feeling in this moment. So just a way to really cement and register what you're feeling right now. And while you're doing this, we're always remembering to stay connected with our breath. It's a constant practice, right? Sometimes, I don't know about you guys, but I can notice, oh my gosh, I stopped breathing, or I'm feeling a little bit. It's not always a feeling of tension, but maybe some contraction or some parts of us that are showing up, right? So just breathing into that and allowing ourselves to register what we're aware of in our body. And once you guys take a few more moments to jot that down or write it, we'll go ahead and start moving into visualization part. So just finding a way to, if you're not already, bring your journal expression into completion, whether that was an image, a word, a little sentence or two about what you noticed, just finding a way to close that out. And if there's anything you'd like to share in the chat, please do. We'd love to hear from you on what you experienced. And if not, just go ahead and continue. You can sit back, or if you're standing, just kind of connect back with your posture and continuing to stay connected with your breath. So going ahead and coming back to that conscious connected breath. So if you were breathing with your mouth before, I invite you to come back to that channel. Otherwise, you can go ahead and go with the nose breathing. And we're just, again, imagining that circuit of breath coming to us, right? So we're bringing that circuit of air through the soles of our feet, up through the backs of our body. Again, imagining that wave coming up through the bottom of the belly, up through the chest, up through the back of our spine, our shoulders, back of our head, and gently releasing out the exhale. And just noticing if you're holding on the inhale or exhale, and no judgment, just noticing it and coming back to your breath, right? The practice is coming back to our breath, coming back to this circuit of breath that's showing up in our physical body. And just beginning to inhale again, a sense of calm, of relaxation, of receptivity, allowing this to spread through us with each inhale, like a gentle steam flowing through us. Sense of calm, of safety, of relaxation. And again, just allowing any tension in our body, any judgment, any doubts, or just any thoughts, just allowing them to come and go with each breath in and out. Just noticing and allowing everything to come and go with ease, with a sense of receptivity, like we've talked about, right? What does it mean to allow and to receive the breath even more in your physical body? So again, just noticing if there's any area of your body you'd like to send even more breath, connecting with a sense of the life force that our breath carries within us, and how you feel this life force in your physical body coming through the breath. Sense of expansion, of relaxation, of allowance, and surrendering. Surrendering to this innate life force that's already within us, and allowing itself to make itself known, make itself even bigger within our physical body. Allowing itself to travel through every corner of our being, saying hello, reminding you of its presence here, reminding you of its availability to you. And just releasing out. Maybe a sigh of relief of knowing and remembering that it's always available to us. And beginning to imagine ourselves at a nice warm campfire. In the evening time, the stars shining above us, just seeing the brilliance and the twinkle above you, and noticing the warmth from the fire in front of you and how you experience its warmth within you. So maybe you feel it through your hands. You can feel the warmth of the fire. Maybe you're rubbing them together and feeling the warmth of the flame in front of you. Maybe you can feel it on your toes or on your neck, on your head, on your shoulders. Just noticing how you experience the warmth of the campfire in front of you. The way that it holds you, contains you, gives you a sense of strength, of purpose, of vitality. And maybe you notice others around the campfire, some loved ones, teachers, future, past versions of yourself, just allowing whoever wants to show up to come around the campfire with you to share this experience together, the warmth of the fire, the sense of community. Creativity. And just noticing if anyone around that fire has any messages for you, any things they'd like to share. Or maybe you have something you'd like to share with them. So just tapping into that. Maybe you're just enjoying the fire. Sometimes things we feel through presence and not always through words, right? So just allowing whatever wants to be expressed to have that space. Exhaling out any judgment or doubt about any experience that you should or shouldn't be having at this campfire. And then gently bringing your attention back to the campfire in front of you, the flames, how they're burning, maybe the colors that you're seeing. The quality of the flame. Is it crackling? Is it dancing? What do you sense from focusing on this flame? So continuing to focus your energy on that flame, the warmth it's giving you, the sense of safety as well, of containment, of the support of those around you in this circle, this campfire, this place of gathering. And continuing to allow this sensation of the campfire to begin moving through your physical body. So again, just noticing it traveling through, starting with the soles of your feet, maybe feeling the gentle warmth of it warming your feet, your ankles, your hips, the bottom of your belly, your core. Bringing that warm flame into your chest, your heart space. allowing it to expand and open up and melt away anywhere you may be hiding or holding, moving through your throat, warming and melting away any stories or areas we're telling ourselves that we don't have permission to express ourselves, or what we have to say doesn't matter, because it does. And that is the message, one of the messages from this flame, is that you are safe to be seen, safe to explore your creativity, safe to connect with this innate creative life force within you. So just really breathing that in and allowing it to permeate deep within your body at the cellular level. You can even imagine sending these messages to your cells, to your body. I am safe to receive and open up to my creativity that wants to express through me. And just notice if there's anything, parts coming up or any doubts. And if so, just allowing them to be there and connecting back with the exhale, sending them back towards the ground. And continuing to connect with the warmth of this flame. And just asking this beautiful and warm flame that's been moving through your body, any messages that it has for you, any ways that it would like to express its way through you. Because again, we receive and we open up to our creativity. So just allowing that space to listen. With each inhale, breathing in just to spaciousness, availability to listen, and exhaling out again, any sensations of tension, or just simply exhaling. And again, connecting with any messages that this flame may have for you today around your creative expression or the creativity within you. Maybe just a little reminder that it's there for you whenever you'd like to connect with it. Maybe you'd even like to ask it or create a symbol for connecting with it. A little symbol or message between the two of you, right? And remembering you can anchor into that at any moment. Continuing to breathe in through the mouth and exhale back out through the mouth. And just noticing any physical shifts you're aware of in your body since when we began connecting with this campfire and this flame within us, exploring it through our physical body, through our breath. And when you're ready, just beginning to notice whatever will feel complete with this dialogue and this exploration. with this flame within us. So absolutely no rush, but just noticing anything else that would feel supportive during this experience. Taking a couple more rounds of breath, deep inhale through the body, through the soles of the feet. So if you want to connect with sound or not, as you take another couple rounds of breath, go ahead and again, continuing noticing any shifts in your body, maybe listening if there's any ways your body wants to move. I can feel my lower back's talking to me a little bit, so I'm going to move it around a little bit, shake it, move my hips front and back a little bit. And just notice even if there's any physical movement that the creative flame would like to express through you as you find a way to thank this flame within you and begin coming back to the space slowly. And again, we're always staying connected to our breath. So if you are starting to gently drift your eyes open or not, just giving yourself time to land in the space, right? So if you're starting to open up your eyes, then just noticing what's around us. So if you want to take a look to the left, notice anything that's on your left side, anything you're observing. To me, I see a scarf hanging. I see a picture. And now I'm going to move my vision and perspective to the right side. So gently turning my head very slowly to the right side, noticing what I see on my right side, what I'm sensing in my physical body, continuing to stay connected to my breath and also my physical body. I can feel some tingling in my toes. I'm going to push down in them a little bit and see how that feels. Continuing to observe to my right hand side. And gently moving my gaze forward, back to my presentation. I can see in front of me on my bookshelf some books that I've really enjoyed. So again, just noticing and connecting with your gaze again. We've been quite inward, so just adapting to, again, having a sense of both our inward experience and also what we see outside of us right now. And when you're ready, just taking a few minutes to journal about your experience. So anything that you noticed during the experience, maybe any messages that you received or images. So we're going to do two things. We're going to both journal, and we're also going to use our pens and pencils to draw a picture that represents the image that we experienced. So you can see if you're looking, but if you're not, it's okay. I'll read it to you. There's no right way. And, something that's been a part of me in my own creative recovery has been to not judge aesthetics, right? That's not the purpose. It's just to connect with the picture, a picture. And even if you didn't have a picture in your mind, if you were to able to try to express what you experienced through a drawing or a picture, what would that look like for you? So again, just taking a couple minutes to journal about any experiences you had, just for yourself to really be able to cement and register what you experienced and connecting with that picture. So we'll probably take about 5 minutes or so to do that, okay? So if you finish before that, then you can go ahead and share in the chat, or would love to see anyone who'd like to come off mute and share their experience. So full permission to also express within the group, right? And allow ourselves to be witnessed in the experience. And again, just I'll be a broken record on this, to just notice your breath while you're doing this, right? So just breathing in deeply and continuing to stay with the breath as you draw, and noticing even when you draw what's showing up in the body as well, any sensations. Hmm. And just listening to, if you're using, one thing I love about colored pens and crayons or whatever type of utensil or material you're using, just noticing which colors you want to use for different parts of your image, or maybe you really just want to use one color, but really tapping into that and listening and allowing yourself to give permission to switch up the colors, or maybe experiment something you're not so sure about. So we're really inviting in this attitude of exploration, of experimentation. And most of all, play. So feel free to have fun with your picture. Mm. Mm. So we have about 1 minute left for the picture and any journaling you wanted to do. Again, I'll just reiterate it for those of you who have still been landing in the space after the meditation, visualization. So any messages, any sensations that you experienced during the visualization, maybe even some of the people that showed up at the campfire, right? So maybe some teachers, some loved ones, maybe some unexpected visitors, parts of ourself. So just allowing yourself to recall if there was anything you wanted to note there. How you were aware and experienced this inner flame, this warmth within your physical body. And as you take the next few moments to wrap up, just if you'd like to share anything really in the chat about your experience, even your experience drawing the picture, right? So much can come up just in that expression. So just checking in, I see a few of you still writing. So if you'd like to continue writing, just let me know, give me a sign. If you'd like a couple more minutes to finish up or where you're at with this, this portion of the exercise. And we have a couple more parts to this, right? So at your own pace. So for those of you guys who are already done with your drawing, you can see here on the screen, there's a couple prompts here, right? So once you've actually completed the image, I want you to just experiment a little bit and notice if you change it from different perspectives. So if you look at it close to you or far away, is there any different, do you notice anything different in your physical sensation in the body, for example? Do you notice different thoughts, right? Because our thoughts are also information, right? So just again, experimenting a little bit when you shift these images from close or from far, or maybe if you turn it sideways or you go next to it, right? So I just invite you to play with some different perspectives and see what comes up for you. And also noticing your breathing, right? So when we looked at it, did we stop breathing again, or were we holding? Or sometimes even I notice, I'm starting to move my body in a different way without realizing. So just noticing that as part of this experimentation. Mm. And then the third part is, if you were to ask this image what it needs from you, what would it say? So you may ask that quietly to yourself. Maybe you want to ask it out loud, or maybe you want to write the question, right? So just tapping into whatever and listening into whatever feels like the best way to connect with this question. Maybe you just want to draw the actual expression of what it needs. Hmm. Hmm. So let's take another minute or so to complete this exploration. So again, just the two elements were to check that image from some different perspectives, right? And notice how that's showing up in our body and maybe our thoughts, our feelings, all those different elements that inform us. And then the last part of just asking this image, oopsie, what it needs from you, or what messages it might have from you. And you might have already connected with that, right, during the visualization, but just inviting you to check in with that, noticing any shifts. And we have just a few minutes left in the session, so just starting to bring things to a close here. So I'd love to hear from you guys in the chat, maybe any shifts that you noticed or are aware of during the session. So it can be in your physical body, but just in general, right? And your general sense of yourself. Anything you'd like to experience, we'd love, like to share about your experience. Love to hear from you.
It's just a couple. They've got Sarah. There's a couple of people who had to jump off, but just recently. And Sarah said, "Thank you for this whole event. It was just what I needed." And then Kubra has said she needs to leave because her battery's dying, but she found the whole session so insightful and connecting, and it was a great start for her as a beginner. So thank you very much, Christine. That's from a couple of people who had to drop off a couple of minutes ago.
Oh, excellent. Thanks for sharing that, Jean.
I found it very interesting. I did a very different type of drawing than I usually do. It was much more illustrative and much more figurative, which was quite sort of interesting. Surprised me.
Oh, thank you, Kaylee. I can see the chat now, actually, Jean, and she said, I feel a deep sense of peace and physical stillness. Excellent. Happy to hear that. And just as we start to close out, and please continue to share your experience, I just wanted to leave a note here as well for anyone who's interested in staying in touch. You guys can go ahead and scan this QR code. I also talked with Jean that I'm offering a complimentary one-to-one session with anyone from the IBF community that's interested in exploring work together, or potentially going deeper into exploring, your creative vision, any blocks that are coming up. So I'm here if you want to connect. This is the best way to do so. But yeah, I just wanted to take a moment and say thanks to Jean and the IBF community for creating this space for all of us, even the people who are new to breathwork or have already been deep in breath work for many years now. It's such a pleasure to be able to connect with all of you guys and have you all bringing your different expertise into the space and sharing this time together. So really appreciate your presence here, and very grateful that we were able to spend this Sunday together.
Well, I thank you very much, Christine, for jumping on. I thoroughly enjoyed that session, and I'm sure all our other guests did too. And I'm sure whoever gets the opportunity to watch it on YouTube, it'll be a good session for them to be able to sit down and reignite their creativity, which is what I find so inspirational and good about this channel that we're running at the IBF, is that it is really top quality breathing coaches that we bring on, and we bring it in creative and beautiful ways that I think really allows people to sit in their own space. So we now all have it as well to be able to check in again. So I really thank you for coming on board with it. Thanks, Christine.
Yeah, absolutely. And looking forward to future sessions and seeing all of the community going forward.
Thank you. Yeah, we're back on the 17th May, and we have Petri Bernhard Birdsong. I hope I said that right. And he's our philosopher. He's our breathing philosopher. He's written a book on the phenomenology of breath, and he's coming in to give us a incredible session entitled "Jesus and Buddha as Phenomenologists." I did practice that quite a few times. Phenomenologists of breathing. And so I'm sure it'll be a really insightful session where he's looking at two of the biggest and religions of all time, the most inspirational religions, and looking at how they relate to breath. So hope to see some of you then again on the 17th. And thank you, Christine, for a beautiful session.
My pleasure. Thanks, everyone, and have a lovely rest of the day wherever you are.
All right. Thank you.